Good morning, or depending on when you're watching this, good afternoon, good evening, or good night. My name's Ross, and as always told out of Voice of Radio. So today, I want to talk about the Japanese metagame. You see, the lovely folks over on the official Pokemon website over in Japan have gone and been kind enough to collate a bunch of stats from the City League Season 2. There were a bunch of tournaments that happened all around Japan, and for the first week, that is December the 5th to the December the 11th, they've basically collated all the stats for the most active decks. Now, it is really important to note, we are talking about the most active decks. We are not talking about the winningest decks. We are talking about the most active decks. But they have also given us a bunch of information about how they tend to be built. And the good news is that we can take a look not only at what the good decks are likely to be moving forward, bearing in mind Japan is generally a little bit ahead of us, but we can also see the upcoming cards which are likely to be making a difference in the future. How lovely. So we might as well start off with the number one deck. Again, we are talking in terms of usage. We are not talking about winning, but it's Zacian ADP. The thing is, right, everybody knows that Zacian ADP is the best deck in the game right now. It doesn't tend to win, and I've made this point in a few videos, and I know I've made some people angry with this, and I'm cool with that. It doesn't tend to win the big tournaments. But let me be super, super clear. As much as it's not winning the Players' Cups and POG and all of that, it is winning a lot of smaller tournaments, informal tournaments, online tournaments. It might not be cleaning up all over the place in terms of these big tournaments, but it absolutely is cleaning up all over the place in terms of these littler tournaments. Now, the deck is as it's always been. You've got Arceus and Dialga and Palkia, which lets you, for 2 energy, basically have a GX attack that says for the rest of the game, all of your attacks do an extra 30 damage, and every KO you take gives you an extra prize. Then you bring in Zacian V, that for free energy does 230 damage, which is 260 by the time you've used your GX attack. And then you basically just go taking a whole bunch of KOs. If you're really lucky, you can use ADP's attack, free energy 150, enough to KO a Dedenne or a Crobat. And then you get to accelerate free energy from your deck while taking a KO, which is a little bit broken. It's why we see so many decks nowadays, so many of these kind of decks anyway, playing the full 4 Boss's Orders, because Boss's Orders lets you drag a Pokemon from the bench, and essentially if you can gust out 2 little weak Pokemon, those 2 prize Pokemon turn into 3 prize Pokemon, and you win very quickly. But there are 2 new tricks that have turned Zacian ADP into an absolute ridiculous over-the-top powerhouse. And that is Rusted Sword and Sabrina and Bryson. Now, Rusted Sword is a very straightforward card. When you attach it to Zacian V, you do an extra 30 damage. The thing is, that takes Zacian from 260 to 290, which takes you through the key number of 270, that being your Mewtwo and Mew and your Reshiram and Charizard. But it also takes you through 280, which means you will get a KO on an opposing Arceus and Dialga and Palkia. It still won't one-hit KO VMAXs, but then again, against VMAX decks, you generally tend to go after things like Dedenne and Crobat anyway. But it makes you hit key numbers so much more easily. And then you've got Sabrina and Bryson. And this is the card that really, well, it went a little bit over the top, shall we say. It is, now we haven't got actually any news about how and when this is being released over here, but you search your deck for up to 2 basic energy cards. And when you play, you may discard 5 other cards from your hand, searching your deck for 3 Pokemon of different types, and putting them into your hand. Well, if you're playing ADP, you need your Water and Metal Energy for the GX attack, and then what you really want is your Dragon-type ADP, your Metal-type Zacian, your Lightning-type Dedenne, and your Darkness-type Crobat, so you can keep drawing cards. Oh. Yeah, this one card will often get you everything you need, and then it just gets a little bit silly. I mean, you need to make sure you hit, say, Metal Saucer, Energy Switch off of Dedenne, maybe, but even then, it's just... it gives you way, way too much consistency, quite frankly. It is, kind of redonk. And remember, if you can discard a Metal Energy from your hand initially, then you can get your Metal Saucer Energy Switch whenever. It is a deck which is getting even better than it was, and it was pretty gosh darned ridiculous. The number 2 deck, that is Eternatus VMAX. Eternatus, this is my favourite of the big metagame decks at the moment, although having said that, the next one on the list is also one of my favourites. I'm in this weird position at the moment where there's actually a couple of legitimate meta decks that I like playing, which is not a place I'm used to being, and honestly, it makes me a little bit nervous. But it's the usual thing. The ability lets you have up to 8 bench Pokemon as long as you only use Darkness Pokemon, and then you hit for 30 damage for 2 energy for each Darkness Pokemon you've got in play, and that should be 270 if everything's gone right. Then, of course, you've got Crobat, who is your draw engine, bearing in mind that obviously you cannot play stuff like Dedenne, so it's got to be Crobat, and you get a very fast, very powerful, very consistent deck. What's different? What's new about this deck? We are starting to see a lot of these decks being played with Galarian Weezing. Now, Galarian Weezing is a Stage 1 Pokemon that turns off all abilities of Pokemon. Just turns off all abilities of your opponent's Pokemon. So, of course, what you do is whack it in the active, and against any deck that is fairly reliant on abilities, or any deck that's just drawing slow, because remember, a lot of the time in the early game, it's Dedenne, Crobat, Zacian, etc. That's how people are getting rolling. So if your opponent is having even a slightly slow start, whack this up and you're golden. The big difference here, the thing that's changed, is that Shiny Star V went and brought in that new Coughing, and that new Coughing has Ascension, which lets you search for a card that evolves from it and put it onto it. I.e., if you go first, your opponent has 1 turn, then Galarian Weezing. If you go second, your opponent has 1 turn with neither an attack nor a supporter. Then you use Ascension and evolve up into Galarian Weezing, and in both situations, your opponent has gone and lost their abilities for the entire game. It's still largely the same deck we've seen for a while, but that is the big change. It should be noted that there is a little bit of a note there that decks that didn't play Galarian Weezing did actually tend to play Alolan Persian instead, which is weird because that's not a card that's been seeing a huge amount of play over here. But Alolan Persian's got the ability Smug Face, which prevents all effects of attacks done to this Pokemon by Tag Team Pokemon, Ultra Beasts, and anything with Special Energy. Well, Ultra Beasts really aren't relevant at the moment, but Special Energy and Tag Team absolutely are. Free Energy 120 is, shall we say, disappointing, and the GX stack isn't a huge amount better. But that's not the point. It's meant as a wall, and against tag team decks, this can be absolutely huge. It's at least a fun little deck. Now, the third place deck is the one that will not go away no matter how much we want it to. It is Blacephalon. That one, I mean, it's a big Wombo combo deck, right? It's that deck that aims to get giant KOs on multiple prize Pokemon despite only being a single prize Pokemon itself. Fireball Circus for free energy lets you discard as much fire energy from your hand as you like, doing 50 damage for each energy card discarded in this way. So you use Welder to get 2 energy on, you attach a third energy from your hand, and then you're searching for cards like Giant, Half, and Fire Crystal, etc. to fill your hand with fire energy and smash. Important to note that Japan's rotation hasn't quite hit yet, so Fiery Flint is still an option, which is really important because that lets you search for 4 fire energy if you discard 2 cards from your hand. That is a huge bonus, but bear in mind Blacephalon has been a really good deck even since that's rotated, so I wouldn't worry too much about it. There's not too much new about this deck. There's just an awful lot that we would usually expect. You've got weird turns using things like Jirachi and Oricorio to try and draw as many cards as you possibly can. Because, well, it's a big combo-heavy deck, quite frankly. And you still see Heatran GX chucked in there as a nice little tech. We have seen some decks play Reshiram and Charizard instead of it. That's fine. They are both good techs depending on the circumstances. It's not really huge now, but there is one thing that's really changed quite a bit, and that is that Cramorant has seen an increase in play, often seen as a 2-of, and we did see that to great effect at the Players' Cup. And because lots of Cramorant is seeing play, we're seeing in Blacephalon decks, players actually playing Telescopic Sight, which should tell you that Cramorant isn't just in there on a whim. 2 Cramorant and Telescopic Sight shows you that it is genuinely part of the, well, really part of the strategy here, which is very cool. It basically means that you hit 190 to the bench against a V or a GX rather than 160, which means that as well as getting a KO on a bench to Dene, you also get a KO on a bench Crobat. Also worth pointing out that Big Charm is the best you can put on a Pokemon GX to increase your HP, which puts Dedenne up to 190, so you actually will get a KO on a Dedenne with a Big Charm. And you will often see against decks with Crobat, players will try and put a Big Charm on a Dedenne to take away that KO, but then it doesn't actually work. And then the 4th place deck is an interesting one for me here, because it is not a deck that has really started taking off outside of Japan. And that is Coalossal VMAX. Now, Coalossal, very, very, very good deck. One that I'm a big fan of. It's my favourite deck. It was Vivid Voltage, right? I hope so. Gonna look dumb if it wasn't. But I like Coalossal VMAX. It's one that I've had an awful lot of fun playing. I've not settled on a perfect list yet, but it is one that I am having an awful lot of fun playing around with. It is amusing me greatly. You know, single energy, 40 damage, but as long as you've got an energy on the top of your deck, you discard it, attach it, and then do 130 instead. Otherwise, you just discard the top card of your deck, and it's mean. Now, to be fair, Japan, because they haven't quite rotated, there is one card which is huge that they've got that we don't. That is Makago. Makago lets you search your deck for any card and put it on top of your deck. So you can basically do that right before you attack, and then guarantee you've got, for instance, a Stone Fighting Energy. You attach it, and then you take 20 less damage from attacks, which is pretty gosh darn cool. But we've still got Oranguru. Now, Oranguru swaps a card in your hand with the top card of your deck. It means you've got to have a card in hand to do it, rather than Makago, which will let you manipulate your deck really easily. But I rarely run into issues here. It is rare for me when playing Coalossal to not be able to put an energy on top of my deck. The big thing is that Makago does let you really, really reliably get Stone Fighting Energy, which Oranguru really doesn't. Outside of that, there isn't a huge amount there. They have mentioned that Enterporter has actually seen a little bit of play here, which is not one that we've really ever seen see a huge amount of play. Lets you move a special energy from one of your opponent's Pokemon to another. Can slow down certain matchups, which is funny, but it doesn't really matter because, well, it's gone and rotated, unfortunately. One thing I really like is that we've actually seen the emergence of Wondrous Labyrinth Prism Star in these Coalossal decks. Now, it increases the cost of non-fairy Pokemon attacks by 1, but because you're often using a single energy attack and you're accelerating energy to yourself anyway, this is a cool little tech against a bunch of decks that really just put them back by a turn, which is kind of awesome here. And it has been mentioned that a number of them have actually been starting to use smartphones, which is, of course, Rotom Phone. Now, Rotom Phone is that one that lets you draw until you've got 5 cards in your hand. It is an item card, but then it ends your turn. But then again, turn 1, Coalossal has, like, no turn 1 play. There is just nothing that Rotom Phone's really doing turn 1. Or that Coalossal, sorry, is doing. So you might as well use Rotom Phone. Why not? Just came out in Champion's Path. It's one that I like quite a lot. Do remember we do now have that new Rotom that lets you, when you bench it, search your deck for 2 cards of Rotom in their name and put them into your hand. So, you know, one that I would recommend. So there we go, ladies and gentlemen. Now, if you want the full list, I should probably give you the full list, shouldn't I? So what we've got here is ADP Zacian, 18.6% is first. Eternatus, 14.2% is second. Blacephalon, 8.4% is third. Coalossal, 7.6% is fourth. Centiskorch actually comes in 5th place here with 6%. Pikachu and Zekrom comes in at 5.2%. Zacian VDAX, i.e. not ADP, come in at 5%. We've got Reshiram and Charizard coming in at 4.8%. And then we've actually got a pair of decks bringing up the rear. Both Mewtwo and Mewdex and Zacian decks with Lucario and Melmetal are coming in at 2.8%. So there's your Japanese metagame. That's what's being played. And I know that Japan have a very slightly different format to us. They are currently pre-rotation. But I've pointed out the cards that are really important pre-rotation that they've got that we don't. And they are not particularly numerous. It is really not a huge deal. So I do think this is very instructive. I'm not saying our metagame is going to be exactly like theirs. There's always going to be some differences. Even with the exact same card pool, there would be cultural differences and playing styles, etc. Even at Worlds, when we got the same card pool, you generally see that Japanese players bring a certain type of deck which is distinguished from what European and North American players play. And we do generally tend to share a bit of a metagame because we use a lot of the same resources, playing a lot of the same bigger tournaments, etc. My point is, no, this is not perfect information, and I'm not going to pretend for a second that it is, but this is very instructive, and as far as I'm concerned, rather interesting. But now, ladies and gentlemen, it's over to you. I want to know your opinion on all of this. I want to know what your favourite deck is. I want to know what you're interested in. So, you know, let me know in the comment section, would ya? Go nuts! Be nice. And then make sure you like this video, subscribe to this channel, follow me on Twitter at TheWasi, and Twitch for some live action at twitch.tv/PTCG Radio. If you want to support the channel, get some bonus podcasts and all that good stuff, head on over to patreon.com/PTCG Radio, or you can do exactly that. But by far the most important thing, as always, look after yourselves till next time, would ya? Thank you very much for watching. My name's Ross, and you've been watching PTCG Radio.